Word on the street. FisMaz show. What's the word on the street? Like who got the beats that be killing the game? Who's up on the screen? Who playing who? What's the score on the sheet? Fiso the Prince got him taking the seat. Got the legends giving us the 411. Fiso must from the 031. No hating sports and entertainment when we got it on and we're the only ones. And after all that action, never how we dripping high fashion. Drippy on some rich amnesty stylists and soak up with passion. If it's giving us less, then we never settle. Make sure you pull up and bring all your medals. Sit back and relax, let's go. It's FisMaz bringing you the FisMaz show. It's the FisMaz show. It's the FisMaz show. It's the FisMaz show. It's the FisMaz show.
Hello everyone, welcome to the FisMaz show. Plenty happening in South African football, plenty happening around the world. But to get things started today, I just want to send a special shout out to Menzi Ngcobo, the South African cricketer who's fighting for his life out in the UK after a terrible attack. Great young man, played for South Africa in the 19, KwaZulu-Natal inland. Yeah, always weird, you know, how the world works, how people think, how people... I don't know. I don't even have the words to describe it. You know, I don't understand why there's so much violence and hate and anger in the world. But you know, things are looking promising from a Menzi side, and we've had some really good updates from Tian Kukumur. So we really appreciate that. Yeah. So I just wanted to start off the show by, I guess, really just paying tribute to him, and the hope is that he keeps fighting, and the hope is that he'll make it through. So I ask that anyone who is a fan of the FisMaz show, anyone who's a constant listener, to please pray for the young man. I know Cricket South Africa have recently released a statement with regards to how they're planning on supporting the family and getting them out there. Yeah, I think let's all keep him in our thoughts, and hopefully not only does he survive this particular incident, but hopefully we'll once again see him on the park doing what he loves. So yeah, that's just my particular thoughts. But yeah, looking forward to, I guess, today's episode. I want to just speak to Menzi Ngcobo about, I guess, what is happening in South African football, especially Kaizer Chiefs. That's been a major focus. DJ Naves is going to come in a little bit later, but don't tell Menzi yet. He doesn't know. It's going to be a little bit surprise. We've also got Obi Mofokeng, who is a Kaizer Chiefs fan, who's going to come in and just share his 2 cents with regards to, I guess, the appointments of Arthur Zwane, and I guess how happy he is with regards to the club moving forward. But yeah, interested to find out from Menzi. So let me let him in now, and we can start our chat. I know Menzi he spoke about Arthur Zwane potentially getting a poison chalice with regards to the club. But I think what I want to start with when I speak to Menzi is to basically just get the climate of South African football. I mean, we've seen Mamelodi Sundowns dominating proceedings, winning the league once again. Yeah, Menzi, welcome. But yeah, let's just get stuck into it. Sundowns winning the league, Kaizer Chiefs cleaning up shop. We've got the promotion relegation playoffs. It's all happening in South African football at the moment.
Yeah, Sundowns running away with the league. No surprise, obviously.
How does it feel to say that?
You know, sometimes, Fiso, when you've been, I don't know what the right English word is, but when you've suffered so much from one single thing, you sort of become numb. And everyone expects Sundowns to win, not because, and again, Neves might have me for breakfast for saying this, not because they are necessarily good or better than others. It's just because the other teams are so bad. So whatever standard they set is going to be top class, because where they are, and they can even afford to be bad for 3 or 4 games and still come back and carry on with their door. So yes, it does feel really heavy for me to say this from time to time, but I've become numb. Until some team steps up and says, right, we are willing to take the mantle and challenge the status quo. Let's forget about the history, Mazimu. Let's forget about Kaizer Chiefs being a world beater, winning 20-something plus official silverware. Let's forget about the big Soweto Giant teams. Let's talk about the now. The dominance over the past 5 or 6 years has been evident. Sundowns is the golden standard, and any team that wants to stake a claim in the conversation now has to challenge that status quo. So I have to give them a nod. Then coming back to the promotion relegation playoffs, look, I've spoken to other people about this. I'm not a fan of this three-way promotion relegation playoff, and I know you and I have spoken about this before. But it can't not be this way if we have a 16-team professional setup. It obviously creates an imbalance because there's not enough games, there's not enough teams. So if you're playing in a 16-team league, you could be an average team, but if you are in a situation like that, where you only have 16 teams, you have to go into a pool of playoffs because it would be unfair to drop 2 teams right off from a 16-team league as opposed to dropping 3 from a 20-team league like you have in other leagues around the world. So yeah.
Hey, they must go, man. They must go. They've had the whole season to play well.
No, so we can't do it like that.
They must go.
No.
One promotion, the winner of the Clan Africa goes up. Then the other 2 or 3, they must contest playoffs, not to second chance. No,
okay,
they must go.
But then you have a point. Then you have a point. No, but then you have a point. If Sizokubek with playoffs, then I want my playoffs for NFT only.
Yes,
because they are the ones.
You've been poor the whole season. There's a reason why you're 15th and 16th. You shouldn't be getting another bite of the cherry. You shouldn't.
100%. I agree. But it would be nicer if there were more teams and more games, and we would get a better picture of, are you really poor, or is it because there's not enough games to go around? Because some teams take longer to get back into the swing of things than others do. So yeah, that's the situation in terms of that. And congratulations to Richards Bay, by the way, for getting promotion into the big league, the land of milk and honey. I hope Mr. Jomo there in Richards Bay really has a plan on how he's going to keep the team afloat and keep the team in the status. First key thing that he's currently doing now with his teams is securing contracts with some of the key players that were part of their promotional run, and he's doing quite well with that. So I'm really hoping that we can stay at 5 teams in the PSL in terms of KZN. So yeah, kudos to them and happiness for the KZN province.
Yeah, I know you're saying that because you have VIP there at the stadium. Eh? It's okay.
Hey,
it's fine. We got paparazzi, eh? Paparazzi.
no, it's fine, dude. It's fine. Let's move on.
But before we go to Kaizer Chiefs, just a quick comment on Ezimnyama Ngani. I mean, for me, I look at Orlando Pirates and there's no way a Pirates team that has assembled the squad they have finishes in 6th place. It's just not good enough for not only the support base, but you also look at in the CAF Confederation Cup. I mean, RS Buchan was there for the taking, man. It reminded me even of the Champions League final between Real Madrid and Liverpool. Madrid were there for the taking in the first half. If you don't put away teams, you're not going to, and it needs a different kind of a character, doesn't it, to make sure that you get over the line, you have that dog, and you have that bite when it matters most.
Firstly, I don't think Madrid was up for the taking for the Champions League final. I think
obviously you're gonna say that,
but
I was happy with the outcome. But come on, hey man, Liverpool.
But it's fine.
That's what I basically mean that Liverpool had an endless amount of chances to get the job done in that first half.
Sure, they did. Just like Pirates did in the CAF Confederations Cup. And here's my take, and I don't want to be too technical about this, but when it comes to Pirates, I think the problem with Pirates is the club structure has too many chiefs and not enough Indians. That's a saying that describes that there are a lot of people that are making decisions in the club and not enough people to implement the decisions that are being made. And that always has an effect on performances on the field. Firstly, I don't think this double dual coach system works. It doesn't work. In football, you need someone who makes the decisions. The one guy who will say, I want to pick this 11, and these are the people we are going into battle with. Now, if you have to consult your decision with some other person, you and I, so we might be friends, but we might not see eye to eye on many issues. Now, imagine if you and I were coaching a team together. How are we going to pick a relevant team for us to start competing in top competition? And again, Pirate supporters might come and argue and say, yeah, but they got into the final. Yes, they got into the final because they've got good players. But in order to win championships and to be considered as a good side, you have to do things differently. You have to have a system there where we know that all our energies are channeling towards this. And you look at Pirates has got a big squad. So they've got a talented squad. But I always get the sense that it's a big, talented squad with no cohesion. Sometimes in talented squads, even like your likes of Liverpool, Madrid, Man City. We know, Uti, in a squad of 30 players, we've got a consistent 19 or 20 players that play. Anyone else outside that 20 is knocking on the door to sit on the bench. You're knocking on the door to get a ticket to sit on the stand. We can't have an inconsistent starting 11 from the first game of the season until the last game of the season. Like, we can't. Like, Umayema was the favorite fullback. Next thing, I forget the player's name. He's now taking over the mantle. You look at
Baseka Marco.
Obviously, he got a tragic injury that he suffered. But he just all of a sudden, he's now the favorite left back. And he's not playing anymore, you know? And then even on the right back position, you have to have consistency in that 11. And let's look at Pirates. From Ben Mutuare, Tabang Monare, who is an anchor in that team? Who would you pick as your first starter in that team? And number 6, the guy who plays in front of even if it's 2 screeners, you can't pick that off by heart because they've got so many players that play in that position and it's hard for them to make a decision on who to play. So in summation of my points, what I'm saying is there's too many decision makers in the back room, there's too many decision makers on the field, and the players don't know which line to toe. And that could have an impact when it gets to getting over the line. And you would think, you're coming back from the CAF Confederations Cup, at least you have some rotational policy where you can raise some of the players and save their legs from jet lag and all of that stuff. But they come back, yes, they pummel Maritzburg United, but after that, the team was unrecognizable. They could hardly get out of third gear. So you look at things like that, you look at the regeneration system that they use, you look at periodization, are the players freshened up enough? And yes, some may argue Lorch is hitting the right type of form. Your striker, what's your striker's name?
That guy's
What's his name? What's his name?
Don't. Why are you saying my striker? I'm neutral.
That guy.
Pepra. Yo.
Top striker. Top. Pepper. Anyway, so yeah.
I'd rather just play the kid, do Radio Pa, and he must get experience because Pepra, you can't score 5 goals in a season, man. No.
Yeah, you can play Radio Pane, but hey, not when the results are not coming. It's very difficult to feel that.
But you're not getting results anyway, so just play the kid.
Yeah, but another Pirates fan can argue and say, but we got into the final of the Confederations Cup. That's results.
Playing against Farmers.
Farmers that beat you.
Oh, I'm saying leading up to it.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, it's difficult with these teams. And maybe I actually need to study Pirates a bit more. Yes, I can see these players in my head, but I don't remember their names. But what I do know is that the Pirates has always been a good squad. But you cannot be a good squad with so many people making inputs in how the team should play. But the Pirates people will not see this because they're too close to the action to call it. Gordon, in order for Pirates to solve it, even if it means taking the bold decision, saying, right, Mandla, you the coach, right? Or Fadlu, you the coach. Mandla, you the assistant. Something like that where we can know who is accountable for the results at the end of the day. I think it would help them. I'm not saying it's a solution. I'm thinking it would help move towards the right direction for them.
Yeah, no, that's Orlando Pirates. Let's quickly touch on Kaizer Chiefs. Plenty of changes at the club. Is it about time? Because that is what fans are saying. It's about time that some people head out the door.
So, who have we fired except for Kim Sanich? Right? Let's count. Cardoso, end of contract. Nukovic, end of contract. Lebogang Manyama, end of contract. Akpay, end of contract. Agai, I think Agai is also end of contract. Who else am I forgetting? All of these players. Kambole was on the transfer list the whole season, last season, but because no one wanted to buy him or even take him on loan because he's on a good salary, 1 and 2, he's not good enough to play for any team. I mean, he could have gone and helped out Team Rock, try and save them from relegation, but they even didn't want to take him. So you look at all of these players. It is a clear out. Yes, it looks like a clear out in terms of the public perception of it. But what it is not renewing certain contracts with due reason. And obviously that list is still subject to grow because look at Mpahele's, his contract is also expiring. at the end of June. Bernard Parker's contract is also expiring. I think he signed a 1 year. Don't say the want. Don't say the want. Don't say the want.
The hunt, boy. The hunt.
The want on the
That's
want.
my play of it.
Yeah. But the want has Parker's lost. He's not going to be part of the team next season. I heard some rumors that he's going to be part of the Kaizer Chiefs backroom staff in one way or the other. I'm not sure. It's unconfirmed rumors, but people have been speaking and saying all of that. But those players were obviously going to be let go. You look at 122 appearances for Castro. He scored like under 30 goals in those 122 appearances. You look at Ukadoso. He's played 7 seasons for Chiefs. Last season, he played every single game, all 30 games for Chiefs. And this season, he and the other player, Omatoho, were the reason why we find ourselves where we are now today. Poor performances.
Is that harsh or what?
I mean, he's probably going to be on the list as well. You know?
Matoho.
Mlomo down. Yeah. I don't see anyone justifying his renewal. I don't see anyone. And he's been a good servant for Chiefs. Let's look at it. When he signed from Bloom Celtics all those seasons ago with Morgan Gold, Kefo Mashamai, that first Stuart Baxter run. I mean, he was a good pick.
The Twin Towers.
The Twin Towers. You know, when we were world beaters, we were playing on transition. Before teams knew what transition was. We were catching them, countering the counter, as some of the people would say. High press, you know, playing with an adventurous 5-3-2 that turns into a 3-5-2 in transition. Overloading, always having an extra center back. Yeah, it was nice back then. But now things have changed. Teams have moved on. Players are smarter. That's why Nukovic could hardly get a sniff. I think he had, 2 or 3 goals after he came back from his spats of injuries. You have to let go of players like that. We could have cashed in on Nukovic when those Saudi Arabian teams wanted to buy him last season or the season before. But I think there was hope from Chiefs management that he might still give us another good season. You know, we lost out on opportunity. I think they were offering something like 20 million for him at the time, or 15 million. Even Al-Ahly was in the running to get him because he was hot property at the time. But as soon as they sussed him out, you could see, he's not going to give us more than what he really gives us. So it is a clear out, it's good. The big question, though, is who will fill the gaps? That's the big question. If we are signing just to fill gaps and we're not signing to change the way things have been happening, we'll suffer the same fate with different faces. What we need to do is to try and identify players who are already performing at an elite level, who are going to come in and hit the ground running. We don't need players that are going to come and have to get through the organizational culture, get used to how things are done. We need guys who will come in, hit the ground running, and give us results. First 5 games is going to be key for Arthur Zwane's career at Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah, and you've mentioned Coach Arthur. I've liked some of the messages that he's spoken about, you know, building during that caretaker stage towards the back end of the season. The one that really stuck out to me was, I think it's time is finished now to be nursing players' egos, to be babysitting players and their emotions. This is a big club. This is a club where you got to deliver. This is a club where you got to play with character. Does Arthur Zwane have the character to number one, front up and be the face of Kaizer Chiefs and really build something sustainable? Does he have that? And more importantly, will he get the total backing to really make sure that he becomes the best he can be?
Look, so the proof is in the pudding, right? We can't judge him before his first day. So we need to see what he can give us. I solemnly hope and pray for his case that he is the guy to do that. And part of assisting him to try and do that was obviously to clear the players and to sort of develop a new identity for the team. But to try and get a team like Kaizer Chiefs to play with character, to try and get a team like Kaizer Chiefs to start playing like they believe that they are world beaters, could be a task that might take longer than what the average Kaizer Chiefs fan on the street might think it will. Will we have patience in taking in the results that Arthur Zwane might be conceding in the first 5, maybe 10 games of the season? I don't know. We'll see as time goes on. But I also like what he's saying, that the team needs to play with a bit of arrogance. The team has to show a bit of character. And he also mentioned the word flair in one of his interviews, that Kaizer Chiefs players need to play with flair. I don't think we've been able to get to a level where Kaizer Chiefs players can play with flair because the results haven't been forthcoming. Now, with the lack of results come a lack of confidence, and a lack of confidence leads into other things. So I hope for his case that his first 10 games will give him an opportunity to lay that foundation for the likes of Usiatemba Sitebe to say, right, I can take flack from Arthur Zwane because this is what I'm finding. For Ashley Dupree to say, I'll take flack from Arthur Zwane because this is what I'm finding. If he cannot get that, he will have himself, he will have his back against the wall from the onset. So he needs to hit the ground running and start getting top results quickly.
Yeah, going to be really interesting to see how that does go. Let's quickly go to Obi Mofokeng, who is a Kaizer Chiefs fan, just to hear his thoughts. We'll be back with Menzi shortly. We're going to have a nice light-hearted chat with Obi just to get a thought from his side with regards to what are Kaizer Chiefs fans expecting, but more importantly, is he happy with the clear-out at the club? So let's go quickly hear from Obi, and then we'll come back to Menzi.
Yo, Fiso Mazibugo. How are you, my man? Man, in terms of Arthur being selected as a head coach, for me, I think this is a special one, bro. This is kind of like Jose Mourinho vibes for me, you know? Like we've seen Benny McCarthy, Rulani Mokoena coming in. So why not? You understand? And we are so blessed because Arthur has been here for 22 years plus. He knows the tradition of Kaizer Chiefs. He worked with coaches from overseas. He knows the culture. He's been at development. He worked with this younger boys. You get what I'm saying? So a 3-year contract is good, man. It's a good thing. He gets enough chance ukuthi abheke naye ukuthi izinto zakhe zihamba kanjani, which is great for me. This is massive, man. For me, I am definitely rooting for this one. I hope and pray everything goes well. I just need Arthur to do what he's been doing. Concentrate. Don't change anything. You can just improve from what you've been doing. It's okay. Ungasilandela amazangoma amaningi azokuthandazela or in please Arthur, please. Just focus. You've been doing great. Keep on doing that way, man.
I'll tell you something, Obza. I'll tell you something. Okay, it looks like I've lost Obi. But I mean, if I quickly go through some of the players that have left Kaizer Chiefs, and I think of, I guess, what they brought to the table. Samia Nukovic, 30 June 2022. That's when his contract expired. I mean, he was really good in that first season under Ernst Middendorp, but didn't quite work after that. Kambole, probably also you'd label it as a disastrous signing. 2 goals in 46 appearances. I mean, that's really not a good return for a forward. Lebo Manyama, I think a lot was expected for him. I think he underwhelmed, and he was a big signing from Turkey. Cardoso, probably one of the mainstays for the past 5, 6, 7 seasons at Kaizer Chiefs. 185 games, 12 goals for him. A lot of those from the penalty spots, of course. Castro, you probably also feel underwhelmed. 27 goals in 122 games. Akpe might be a little bit of a surprise. I thought, he featured quite a bit, but I guess probably the biggest influence with regards to that would have been around freeing up some of those spots for foreign players. And from what I've seen, Kaizer Chiefs have freed up all 5 of those spots. So that's a clear move. Kieran Pakis, he's a player that I've always really enjoyed watching. Good player. I felt not perhaps given the platform to shine that he probably deserved. I know there are quite a few Kaizer Chiefs fans who have said that they're, out of all the players that are basically leaving, he's probably the one that they disappointed to lose. Of course, Lee Baxter also out the door. Anthony Akumu, a guy, also a disappointing player. And then, of course, we've seen the morning of this particular recording, we've seen that Kaizer Chiefs have also released Dumisani Zuma. And if I just quickly read the update here, attacking midfielder Dumisani Zuma's numerous disciplinary issues have led to the club letting him go, with a year still remaining on his contract. So very disappointing for him, no doubt. Since joining Bloemfontein Celtic in 2017, he's been suspended a number of times, including twice in one season. He's also went to rehab and counseling in the season that just ended. So in his 5 seasons at Kaizer Chiefs, he played 100 matches, 25 starts, 75 subs appearances, and he scored 13 goals. So yes, I've seen some people saying that perhaps there was no need to really go into detail with regards to, I guess, why they're letting him go. Does it harm his future prospects and in terms of trying to get another club? Yeah, we can debate that. But nonetheless, Kaizer Chiefs are cleaning up shop and they're really looking to get things moving with regards to, I guess, the rebuild. And one of the interesting things, you look at Kaizer Chiefs and you think, okay, since you're getting rid of all these players, who are you bringing in? Well, they've already made a move with regards to the market. And I'm sure all of you who will be listening in and tuning in have already seen what is happening with regards to that. Ashley Dupree, the striker from Stellenbosch FC, he'll be joining the mighty Amakosi. Can he make them mighty once again? Because that's been a major disappointment over the past few seasons. Goals. We've seen Kama Billiard joining Kaizer Chiefs on a free transfer from Mamelodi Sundowns. But even with Kama Billiard, it hasn't quite happened. Keegan Dolly's joined. We know he's had his injury problems. Can he kick on and do something a lot better? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, Kaizer Chiefs have made their initial moves with regards to the transfer market. And we've also seen Stellenbosch FC captain Zita Guinika coming back to Kaizer Chiefs. Menzi, thank you for coming back. I just had Obi Mofokeng, who's a Kaizer Chiefs fan, who was joining me a short while ago. We spoke a little bit about Arthur Zwane and potentially what then happens going forward with the club.
I'm not sure. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure Arthur's the right person for the job. Yes, I get it. He worked well with the MDC. He's worked well with the development ranks. Yes, he's calling for a new way of Kaizer Chiefs player. He's calling for them to play with a bit more arrogance. But I honestly don't think this was the right call. And I know I'm saying this and I'm cringing as I said, but I feel Arthur Zwane needed to go somewhere else first to cut his teeth. I feel like this is the repeat of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer story at Manchester United, where he was given a chance because he's a fan favorite and he's a club darling and he's obviously a legend in the club. And he got into a club that was going through a transitional period and they thought they were going to be patient with the results, but it proved not to be. Because in a club like this, you have to hit the ground running. And if Arthur does not hit the ground running, I'm sad to say he might not be able to buy himself enough time to last the duration of his contract. And that for me is the one key point that I stand to.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, you almost find yourself in a position to think, well, on one hand, it can't get any worse than it has. So maybe that gives them a safety net. Maybe that allows, I guess, fans to be a little bit more patient. Or alternatively, maybe fans are at their peak in terms of just being impatient. They want success. They want to get back to the very top. But it's hard, because when you look at it and you think, oh, you're competing against a Sundowns team that has so much firepower, so much quality. And if you have a 20-goal striker in the South African top flight, I mean, you always have a chance. Ashley Dupree, he's coming into the club. Is he the answer? Are there any answers in terms of goal scoring, regular goal scoring? I mean, if you're not going to have a 15, 20 goal striker, are you going to have midfielders that can give you 5 to 10 goals, maybe 3 of those? Is there enough to really take you forward? And of course, as a neutral, I've looked at it so often and I always feel like Kama Billiard can do a little bit better. Keegan Dolly has shown glimpses. We know he's got his injury problems. But I don't know. Do you think that Kama has delivered for Kaizer Chiefs? And do you think there's a good base there to potentially be successful as a team in the next season or in the next few seasons?
I'm going to be a bit cynical here. I'm going to be very cynical. I think Kama's gone past his sell-by date. You can see it in the... I must admit, over the past season, I could see the effort in his eyes. I could see him trying to really run faster, to run harder, to tackle harder, to get to the ball quicker and to try and impact the game. But it's just not happening. sometimes it's a synergy in a team. We speak a lot about this in sports, that sometimes it's just the chemistry, the synergy. I feel like it's not there. Maybe if the team can go on a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 game winning streak, we might see the best of him. But I don't think he's justified wearing that Kaizer Chiefs jersey. But anyone can come back and argue and say who has over the past maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4, 5 years at Kaizer Chiefs. It's been a struggle to find the right combination and the right type of consistency. And in a player like Ukama Billiards, you expect that consistency. You expect a player like that to carry your team on his shoulders and to give you those 5-star performances when the other chips are down. And maybe that is just too much a weight for him to carry. And then back onto Ashley Dupree. If we're signing Ashley Dupree as a striker that we believe is going to come and solve our goal-scoring problems, you just have to look at the stats. Yes, he's 24, he's young, he's exciting, but how many goals has he scored? I think the last time I checked the stat was like 9. You're talking about a 14-goal, 15-goal, potentially 20-goal striker per season. If you play as a false 9 or as a nimble striker who plays on the shoulder of the defender like he does, he's more likely to be running into spaces than he is to be staying in the box to try and finish things off. You won't get that from a player like Ashley Dupree. And I fear that we might end up using him in the wrong position because of that. The team doesn't play to the strengths of a player like Ashley Dupree, where it's a combination pass, we're opening the teams up and finding the space behind the defenders, which I feel would be the best suited strategy for a player like him to be able to succeed in a team like Kaizer Chiefs. But I feel the biggest link that we're missing in that team as a number 10 that can be able to provide those supplies or those type of passes to a player like Ashley Dupree. We haven't found a player like that.
What about Keegan Dolly?
Yeah, but Keegan Dolly plays on the right. He's an inverted winger.
So
right?
would you not consider him then to potentially play as a 10?
I would actually consider Ngcobo to play as a 10, to be honest with you. I would consider Ngcobo to play as a 10, but what you do if you take Ngcobo to play him as a 10, that means you have to play with 2 defensive midfielders, 2 screeners, and one of the 2 defensive midfielders had to be a box-to-box, right? And I know there's talks of us signing Fabrice Ngoma, there's talks of Yusuf Mark, there's talks of, I heard someone yesterday talk about Miguel Tim, there's talks of Pumlani Njangasi, who's out of contract and was released by Mansfield United. But in essence, in order to solve those problems, you need someone who can be able to provide the supply. I feel Ngcobo would be better suited in that position than Keegan Dolly. And Keegan Dolly can be freed up on the right, and he doesn't have as many marking responsibilities. He can cut inside and try and take shots with his left foot or try and combine with those off-the-ball third-man runs on either side. I think that would be a better fit for us.
Okay, I mean, I guess, I mean, you've obviously spoken about some of the players you've been linked with. Miguel Tim and his tights, he's going to be rocking up there in Kaizer Chiefs and wearing tights from
I don't think we should sign.
Wearing tights from head to toe, that guy loves a tight. But I mean, I know that they've obviously spoken about potentially wanting to address that number 6 position. And they've let go of a player like Kieran Pakis. A lot of Kaizer Chiefs fans that I've spoken to, they almost had a slightly heavy heart. They felt like he had something to give Kaizer Chiefs and perhaps was never truly given that run to truly become someone who's, number one, comfortable within the club structures. There's been times where a guy has been trusted a lot more than him. Is he one of the players that perhaps you are disappointed to see go? And I mean, I went through the list of players that have gone a short while ago. And I mean, when you look at it, yes, number one, wage budgets will no doubt will be eased off. The foreign spots have been opened up, which again speaks about, potentially that Fabrice Ngoma position. Does he become one of the players they bring in to occupy one of those foreign spots? But when you look at the players that have gone, Nukovic, no surprise there. It just has not fired post that first season. Kabole has been a disaster.
Absolutely tragic.
If we speak honestly, I'm sure he's a nice guy. Lebogang Manyama, he's been a disaster. From the expectation that was there, from the expectation of a player coming from Europe, a former national player, former player of the season in the South African top flight, Cardoso. You probably felt he was those players that would have been probably better off served as a squad player as opposed to someone who's a lead defender at an elite club like Kaizer Chiefs. Castro, let's be honest, 27 goals, 122 games.
122 games.
I was surprised a little bit by Daniel Akpeyi. Not because, I always felt like Kaizer Chiefs had very similar goalkeepers in terms of the quality. You could play a Peterson, you could play a Pavuma, you could play Akpeyi, and you could play a Kune, and you probably pretty much get the same thing. There was no clear, like, this player is just head and shoulders above the rest. You may obviously differ, and Pakis is another one, Lee Baxter, and of course, this morning, at the time of this recording, we've seen the departure of Musani Zuma. A bit weird with Kaizer Chiefs, the way they've posted it about his disciplinary issues. Why don't you just let the guy go?
You know what's weird? You know what's weird, for lack of a better term? How they posted all the players they let it go on Twitter with their pictures still wearing Kaizer Chiefs stuff. Like, I think that's weird. I know that they've got that whole corporate communication strategy with that marketing thing going on. But if you're releasing me, why are you posting my picture wearing your colors?
I can't release you and you're busy holding a suitcase. Come on, man.
No, Chip, just write my name on the post. That's fine. I'm not going to.
No,
why do you have to have a picture of me?
But hey, happy times. Good time.
No, there's no happy time when you're getting cut off from a very lucrative contract like a Chiefs. But you've mentioned a lot of players. Let me try and jump to some of that I can remember, to some that I can still remember. Kieran Pakis. I like him. I thought he had potential to become a really good player for Chiefs, but I don't think he was given enough opportunity to play. Having said that, in clubs like Chiefs and all elite clubs around the world, you won't get given a year, 2 years to hit the ground running. Sometimes you get given a sniff and you have to take that sniff and you run with it. And I feel he didn't do enough to earn an outright stay in the club when it comes to him. You talk about Lebogang Manyama. Lebogang Manyama had a chance to play. He was given more than enough opportunity to stake his claim in the club, but he just did not get it right. Right there with Manyama, let me mention this. Kaizer Chiefs, again, is guilty of imploding. It's guilty of applying a transfer policy that ends up getting them players 2 or 3 years later than we were supposed to get them initially. We were supposed to get to Lebogang Manyama before he went overseas. I think we were supposed to get to Lebogang Manyama just after he won the Player of the Season at Cape Town City. We didn't get it. We were supposed to get, I forget who the other player is. Oh, Menzi Ngcobo, by the way. We were supposed to get him when he was still at AS Vita before he moved to Casablanca. This is 3 seasons ago, and we missed that opportunity. We now getting him. He's now, I think, 27 or 29 between there. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're getting him from Raja Casablanca. He's played 29 games across the season. Of the 29 games, I think only 8 of them were starts in the league. 12 came on. He came on as a sub for 12 games. And you look at a player like that, how much impact did he really have at Raja? And would Raja let go of a player of top quality if they still needed to use him? You have to ask yourself those questions. Why would you let a contract of a player like that run until the end if you have no intentions of keeping him, or if he's not a prized asset? And again, now we are jumping to sign him. Another interesting thing about some of our new players is that I didn't know that Chiefs had so much money for the transfer budget. A little birdie whispered into my ear and told me we paid 10 million rand for Ashley Dupree. My goodness, I like the boy. He's a good player, but he's not worth 10 million rand. Another birdie whispered into my ear that we played for Uzeta. We paid 3 million or 3 or 4 million. So we gave Stellenbosch about 13 million rand just this transfer season with 2 players, which I effectively don't think will change the fortunes of Kaizer Chiefs.
Look, it's a change though. I mean, we've seen Chiefs the past few years. They've kind of just been, okay, who's available on a free contract? And they've been maneuvering in that way. Do you think there's a clear shift now to say, okay, cool, look, we're gonna have to flex our muscles a bit here?
Okay, we flex some muscles, but again, I argued with one of my friends the other day, Uguti. You look at the players that Chiefs are signing. Who else is linked with them? Who else was linked with Ashley Dupree? Who else was linked with that player? And these are my personal biased opinions about these things that are happening. And I know there's a bigger picture, and they scout these players, they profile them, they fit them into the bigger picture. But my issue is, if you're going to sign a player like that, what are you signing him into, Fiso? If you're signing an Ashley Dupree, what are we moving into?
Menzi,
Brother. Yes.
Guess who's just walked in?
Oh no.
Guess who's walked in?
Oh no.
Naves, you just burst his bubble.
Oh no.
What's going on here about how great Ashley Dupree is?
Oh no. Oh no.
The opposition always wants to jump on their new signing and speak about how great they are. But, we just keep quiet and we watch them go through another trophyless season, and all the talk of greatness goes away.
But Fiso can be honest. He can tell you honestly that I'm not a fan of the signings we've made. Mina ngizoba clear, mina names. I'm not going to play around, beat around the bush. Angeke ngikhulumisa kwesiwengula some supporter who's got his head stuck in the clouds. I was just saying to Fiso before he brought you in, Uguti, we must look at the players that his Sundowns is not fighting to sign. Yes. If we look at the players that Sundowns is not fighting to sign, they must be something wrong. Right? No one was contesting the signing of Ashley Dupree. No one.
Yeah.
We are the only people that wanted to sign him. His Sundowns was not knocking on that door. Right?
Yeah.
Again, we're signing a player of ours back for 3 million.
Yeah.
We're signing a back for 3 million. Who's fighting to get his signature? Nobody. Yeah. I still think we're gonna have another barren season. The only unfortunate thing, Nane, is that the sacrificial lamb to this entire project will be Arthur Zwane, who at the end of a season and a half or 2 years will be left without a job, but he'll be fired because of poor results. I honestly hope I'm wrong. Honestly hope I'm wrong, but I don't see us bursting the Sundowns bubble anytime soon.
Look, I saw they released a very controversial press release on the releasing of Zuma,
Yes.
And all the other players. Well, let's look at facts for what they are. Those players weren't released; their contracts had elapsed. So the only player that could say was released is Zuma. So this cleanup, mop-up operation that has been made to look like it's happening is actually nothing has happened. The secret and the strength of this thing is going to be in who else they bring in.
100%.
So who else are they bringing in to strengthen this team? Who else are they bringing to compete? And is that player going to be able to give them the fight that they're looking for from a Kaizer Chiefs philosophy of the new coach, from a methodology that they want to implement? And that's the question. That's the big question.
Yeah, that's the big question. We've got 2 minutes left of the show, but I wanted to bring Naves in just to halt Menzi in his track. I know Naves is busy there. I see he owns a scrapyard now. I don't know what's going on there. But Naves, congratulations to Mamelodi Sundowns. That's the biggest thing I wanted to say. I didn't want you to be posting us then saying, oh, they're quiet now. No, we're not quiet. Call me champ. So, hello, champ.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You're not like the other one who's been silent. I've been waiting for him to congratulate me, but he's been silent. He's been showing up on TV wearing regalia of political parties and, sitting with the big wigs. But I was like, it's okay. You can sit with the big wigs, but there's no trophies there. If you want to win, you know where you need to go.
Come here. Come
here. Listen. Sit here. Trophies are here.
Yeah,
John Maluleka is here.
Yeah,
Zuma is here.
Yeah, congratulations, Naves. It's painful.
No, but you can't start it with yeah. You can't. What type of congratulations is that?
It's a because I don't really. It's not a valid one. I have to give it to you.
Look, boys. I'm gonna have to start a separate chat. But yeah, I wanted to say, Naves, well done. Yeah,
peace.
Appreciate your time.
Sharp.
Sure, bye-bye.